Hey everyone, welcome to another reading journal video. In this video, I'll be showing you how I update my January reads in my 2025 reading journal. So all these spreads you watched me make in the previous video, I'll be showing you how I actually use them every month for my reading. So I'll be updating the monthly spreads of January, and also I'll be updating my 2025 January reads in the yearly spreads. So to start off with, I'll be making a calendar for January where I fill the number of pages I read each day and what book I read on that day. So for that purpose, I'm taking reference of last year's December calendar to count how many boxes I need and stuff. So I use a dotted journal. It's in B5 size, and for the calendar, I usually take 4 boxes for each day, and so that's what I'm doing here, counting up the starting date of January and figuring out how many boxes I need. But in spite of all that, I end up making a mistake, which you will see in a while. But that doesn't bother me. I've got used to making mistakes in my journal now. All it matters is how functional it remains at the end of the day. So I use a ruler to draw out the lines. I figured out last year that just free-handing my way into this did not look very neat, but using a ruler makes it more pleasing to the eye. So yeah, and for the headings, I'm just using a brush pen by Dom's, the pastel colors which I use throughout this journal, and I write out the heading in brush lettering style using a Tombow brush pen, and as well as the days of the week I use the same font style. So after that, I write all the days, the dates that is, with a Brewster fine liner, and below I'll be writing the books that I read this month. So for this purpose, I use my Instagram stories as reference. So basically what I do is I track my reading through a app called Storygraph. So based on that, I post stories on my Instagram as to how much I read that day and from what book I read. So this is the template on the right side. I opened it in my tab. I make this template in Canva, and if you want to use this template, you can find it on my Instagram story highlights under 2025 templates. So I regularly post this on Instagram, either like weekly once or twice or thrice. It depends on my mood for the day. So I'm basically trying to replicate whatever is on the right side to my journal page here. So I assign a color to each book that I read, and I use the same color to mark the number of pages I read on which day. So for example, blue color, the first blue color is for Interpreter of Maladies book, and I read that from January 1 till January 12th, I guess. So I'll mark those days in blue color, and I'll also write the number of pages in that dates. So here, after the brush pen ink has dried out a bit, I write down the titles of the book, and above in the calendar, I write down how many pages I read from that book on that day. So that is how this template basically works, and I update this for each of the months in my journal as well. And after this, my monthly spreads pretty much contains only the review pages. So I write review for each book that I read. I also post my reviews on Storygraph, Goodreads and Instagram. So this printout that you see here is basically from Canva. So I have a template in Canva as well for taking the printouts that I'll need for my journal that month. So this is how I take prints. So the bigger sized book covers that I'm cutting right now are for my review pages. In case you need to know how to do this on Canva, I've posted a reel about it on my Instagram. So please do check that out. I'll leave the link in the description box below. So I've cut out all the book covers I need for my review pages, and I'll just paste them here, and I'll write some basic details about the book, like the title, the author name, the star rating that I gave, and from when to when did I read that book. All those things I'll be writing down here, and I'll also write down the review down below. So for out of the 7 books that I read in January, I've written reviews for 3 books so far, but in this video I'll be showing you only one review page. I don't want to make the video unnecessarily long, but I'll update the review as and when I write, and I'll copy that to my journal whenever I get the time. So yeah, you see me writing the author name, the star rating, and the genre and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna speed this part a little bit more. So I just copied down the review that I wrote in Storygraph from there to my journal. I don't write the review for the first time in my journal. So first time review, I type it out in Storygraph or Goodreads or even just in my notes app. So yeah, some of my reviews are either too short or too long to fit the journal page here. If it's too long, I'll cut out some parts of the review, like the paragraph where I'm explaining what the book is about, and just write only my review of it. For this book, I found the review that I had written was very short, so I just added few more thoughts of my own as I was writing in this journal. And below, since it looked a little bit plain, I just stuck on washi tapes. So last year actually I made a border for all these pages, but I found out that that is too time consuming, and so I didn't want to do that this year. So in most of the pages, if it's plain or it looks weird without a border, I just put on a washi tape to cover that. I got a bunch of washi tapes that I've not used at all because I was so scared of wasting them or not using them properly, and they were all so pretty that I didn't want to run out of them. So like that, I've got like around 30 to 40 washi tapes which I have not yet used. So this year I plan to use them to the fullest and use them wherever I want, like in my reading journal or in my memories journal, and in any of the other journals that I maintain. So yeah, so the next few pages I'm just taking the book covers where I'll be updating the reviews later on. So since I have not written reviews for most of these yet, I'm just writing the title and the other basic details like ratings and author names. So actually this is the month that I've read most books. This is the year that I've read most book in January month itself. Usually the beginning of the year I'm in a very terrible reading slump. So last 2-3 years I ended up reading only like 2 to 3 books in the January month. But this January it was different, and I attribute this to my reading from my Kindle. So when I say Kindle, it's not a Kindle device. I don't have any Kindle device or any other e-reader for that matter. So I have a Kindle app on my phone or on my tab. So whenever I feel the urge to use my phone, now I find myself gravitating more towards Kindle app instead of Instagram or Threads or YouTube. So having a Kindle Unlimited subscription has immensely helped me read more. So in this month, out of the 7 books that I read, only three were paperbacks, that is physical copies, and the other 4 were all digital. If you had been following me on Instagram, you would have seen a story or a post about it as well. So yeah, so once the review pages are done, this year I thought of adding a new page to my monthly spreads, that is the wrap-up page. So that's what you see me cutting now. So the same book covers, I just printed them in a very smaller size to use it in the wrap-up page. And the other 2 prints are basically stats from Storygraph app. So it gives a monthly stat for at the end of the month, or as and when you want you can download it. But since I read till 31st of January, I downloaded it on 31st January and took a printout. The other one is a moods chart in Storygraph. So that's my most favorite graph from Storygraph actually. It basically categorizes what moods the books that I read that month pertains to. So yeah, I stick those graphs on the left side, and on the right side I stick the book covers that I read this month. And for the heading, I follow the usual theme of this year's journal. Actually, I bought this tape roller only last week, but I've already run out of it now. So, and for some reason it started unraveling just as I was doing this. So I don't know what to do to that, but since I ran out of it, it's well and good, I would say. But it was very convenient. It was non-sticky, it was very mess-free, and the process was just much more faster. I still don't know if I should buy this because it's pretty expensive. Just one roll, it costs like around 80 rupees. But if I buy a normal glue stick, it's just some 20 or 30 rupees, and it lasts way longer than this roller. But yeah, problem for next week, I guess. So once I'm done sticking all this, I write the heading in brush calligraphy style like the other pages, and I also mark the ratings for each of the books that I read. I just added a little border because the 2 pictures on the left side had border, and this was looking weird without any borders. So yeah, and I just add on another washi tape also here. So that's how my wrap up page is done. So with this, my January spreads are done, and I'm gonna move to the yearly spreads. So in this reading goals page, I just mark seven boxes for the 7 books I read in January, and color code them based on the rating. So if it's pink color, it's 5 star, and so on. And the next yearly spread is Read Christie. So for the Read Christie challenge, in these 2 pages, I marked the title of the book that I read and the rating I gave for each of the book. And next page is the year overview page and year in pixels page. So for year overview, I write down details like number of books, number of pages I read that month. And year in pixels is something that I'm doing as a new spread this year. It's basically the number of pages I read each day. So I have color coded it based on the legend in the right side. So for this also, I make use of the Instagram story that I post, and each day I mark in a different color as per the number of pages that I read that day. So for example, yellow color is for 1 to 25 pages, green is for 25 to 50 pages, and so on. So each day of January I highlight it in that respective color. So I can't wait to see this at the end of the year. This is the first time I'm doing that spread in any journal, be it reading or bullet journal, and I'm really excited about it. And coming back to your overview, I let the brush pen dry for some time and update those fields as well based on the number of books that I read, number of pages I read, and so on. And I also update the number of followers I have on Instagram at the end of each month. So that's how these 2 spreads are done. And here also I add a few washi tapes here and there so that it doesn't look too plain and dull. And next spread is the books bought page. So basically I list down all the books that I bought this year. So in January I bought six books. Out of these, 5 are for the Read Christie challenge. So all the Read Christie challenge I wanted to read in physical copy. So I already had 7 books, so I had to buy 5 more. I bought that in the beginning of the year itself. I just splurged on it. And the 6th book was a book by R.K. Narayanan that I wanted to read for so long. So I saw this at the bookstore and just bought it immediately. So I list down details like the title, etc. here. And the next page is the physical TBR tracker page. Basically, I update how many books I have unread at the beginning of the year, and each month I add the books that I bought that month and subtract the books that I read that month. And next is the reading log spread. So here I list down all the books that I read in January, and then with details like the author, title, and the genre, etc. So that's what you see me updating here. And they also color coded based on the above legends there. So pink color means I read it for Lit Zone Book Club, and yellow color means I read it just because it was on my TBR, and green color is something I read for Read Christie challenge, and blue is something I read for the 25 in 2025 challenge. So 25 in 2025 is something I started this year. Basically, I made a list of 25 books that I absolutely have to read this year. So anyways, yeah, that's how my reading log spread is done. And here's the final flip through. My yearly page is updated with my January books read. And here's the Read Christie page. I read 1 book, The Hollow, this month. And next is the year overview and year in pixels page. And here I've got the list of books I bought in January and the physical TBR. It actually increased to 99 from 96, but that's fine. I'm hoping to reduce it. And I missed to mark the numbers in the reading log, so that's what I'm doing here at the end. And after that are all my monthly spreads, a simple calendar page, review pages, which I'm yet to fill, and finally the wrap-up page. So thank you for watching, and if you like reading journal, please do share and subscribe. Bye.